Welcome to WHCGT CMC 001. Over the next 4 hours, we will build an integrated, phase-appropriate CMC strategy for cell and gene therapies. This course assumes you already have a working foundation in standard GMP, basic biologies, and the common technical document framework. Cell and gene therapies often break those traditional models. Look at this flow comparison. On the left is standard monoclonal antibody production, a linear process built on standardized mass production and terminal sterilization. On the right is the cell and gene therapy cycle. Here, the starting materials are living cells, plasmids, and viral vectors that are inherently variable. Notice the constraints on the right side of this diagram. You are operating with microscopic batch volumes that restrict your testing capacity, alongside a rapidly ticking countdown clock for vein-to-vein delivery. You cannot engineer out the biological variability of a patient's own cells. This reality forces a split in how we design manufacturing controls. Autologous therapies require a focus on vein-to-vein timing and a strict chain of identity. Allogeneic therapies use donor cells to support multiple recipients, shifting the priority toward batch scale, banking, and off-the-shelf logistics. We also must distinguish between ex vivo gene therapy, which modifies cells outside the body, and in vivo gene therapy, which delivers the modification directly inside the patient. These distinctions dictate your starting materials, facility scheduling, and distribution. Since you cannot eliminate biological variability, your entire CMC strategy must be engineered to characterize and control it within these extreme constraints. An approvable dossier is an interconnected system linking product understanding, manufacturing, analytics, and regulatory submissions. To map this regulatory theory into practical engineering solutions, we will follow a fictional company across all 8 modules of this course, Asteria Advanced Therapeutics. Asteria is developing 2 specific modalities, an autologous gene-edited T-cell therapy and an in vivo AAV gene therapy for rare diseases. This timeline plots Asteria's development journey. We will track their progress from early clinical manufacture at an academic site through the complex technology transfer to a commercial contract development and manufacturing organization. Analyzing Asteria's case provides a blueprint for navigating the interconnected CMC hurdles, from variable starting materials to immature analytics that you will face in your own programs. Let's jump to Asteria's timeline, Module 3, Materials and Traceability, highlighting intake streams for starting materials, donor cells, plasmids, and vectors. As they separate, notice distinct risks. Cells face biological variability, while plasmas and vectors carry risks for genetic purity and structural integrity. Beyond these starting materials, your process relies on raw materials, like single-use assemblies and growth factors. Unassessed supplier changes to these materials are a recurring root cause of catastrophic quality failures. Once these materials enter the supply chain, they must be tracked. Chain of custody provides unbroken documentation of a material's location, condition, and possession through every handling step. We see this physical tracking in practice as this sealed cryogenic vial moves through an automated, temperature-controlled transit network. Custody identifies the material's journey. This is distinct from chain of identity, which strictly maintains the link between a specific patient and the product. In autologous therapies, the stakes for chain of identity are absolute. A mix-up results in immediate, direct, and potentially fatal consequences for an individual patient. Unbroken chain of identity and rigorous material characterization form the non-negotiable bedrock of your process. Every subsequent control in the ATMP architecture relies on this starting point. Shifting to Module 5, we confront analytical strategy. This dashboard highlights a strict physical constraint, microscopic sample volume. Because autologous batches yield little material, exhaustive testing is impossible. This tiny fluid droplet must be strictly partitioned across essential identity, purity, viability, and safety assays. This brings us to a major hurdle for Asteria. Rapid clinical timelines have forced them to enter early trials with a potency assay that is not yet fully mature. You cannot omit potency testing. Regulators require confirmation of the biological activity and the product's mechanism of action. The regulatory solution is an interim, multifaceted potency assurance strategy. You combine tight process controls, in-process measures, and orthogonal methods to build confidence in the product's activity while the primary assay matures. Crucially, sponsors must present regulatory agencies with a transparent, documented lifecycle improvement plan that includes defined milestones for assay maturation. Potency assurance is a lifecycle strategy. It must evolve in lockstep with clinical progression. As Asteria advances into pivotal development, covered in Modules 6 and 7, they face technology transfer, site expansion, and global distribution. Expanding production to a second site requires comparability evidence. Overlaid radar charts show how pre-change and post-change analytical profiles are compared to demonstrate product consistency. Alongside comparability, you must establish a stability profile. This degradation curve tracks product viability over a defined post-thaw window. Cryopreserved CGT products require real-time, accelerated, and specific in-use data. Maintaining that stability requires a robust cold chain built on ultra-low temperature dry shippers, exhaustive temperature mapping, and disciplined excursion management. That cold chain eventually terminates at the clinical site, where the focus shifts to receipt, reconciliation, and final product preparation. The administration windows at the clinic are strictly dictated by your supporting post-thaw stability data, not by clinical site scheduling convenience. You must also account for device compatibility. The specific infusion sets, needles, or catheters used at the hospital can physically destroy cell viability or vector integrity. The CMC control strategy does not end at the manufacturing loading dock. It extends continuously through the infusion line into the patient. We conclude in Module 8 by merging Asteria's parallel development tracks into their final regulatory submissions. An IND requires phase-appropriate safety data, but a commercial application requires a fully justified control strategy integrating risk registers, stability, and process validation. Watch the central axis line align these layers. It represents the CMC target product profile, ensuring absolute consistency across your final dossier. Once approved, you transition to commercial lifecycle management. Post-approval commitments, like continued process verification and ongoing stability monitoring, are binding regulatory obligations. At this stage, facility inspections will heavily scrutinize your operations. Data integrity gaps, particularly missing contemporaneous batch records or chain of identity evidence, are recurring and avoidable inspection risks. To apply these concepts, you should immediately identify your own product's specific modality profile and update your CMC risk register to flag long lead and critical path items. This course is for educational use only and does not grant regulatory or professional authorization. All strategies must be verified against current regulatory source guidance and your own internal quality systems. Mastering this interconnected, phase-appropriate system ensures your regulatory data aligns with your manufacturing reality and clinical intent. Please proceed to Module 1.